Welcome back. I'm Chef Luis Cortez, owner of Savor and Gather Personal Chef Services. Today we're going to do something that has to do with the fall. So we're doing squash. So we're going into the fall right now. So we have butternut squash here. We're going to do a butternut squash risotto. So I have my risotto. I'm going to add my little twist, a little flavor profile that's probably a little different. Some saffron. So we're going to do some peppers over here, some sweet peppers over here. We're gonna have sweet peas, some onion, parmesan, obviously, some garlic, some cream in the end, and that's it. So we have our butter to start with. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start out. I already got my chicken already pre-cooked, so we're gonna just have to heat it up a little bit. We're gonna start by heating up our pan and putting some butter and sauteing and softening our onions and garlic. We're going to soften the onion and garlic up with that butter. So put a little butter in there and just a touch of olive oil just so it does not burn as fast. It'll burn anyway, but as fast. It gives it a little more resilience and resistance. Throw my onions, and we're gonna keep that sauteing for a few minutes. Sweat that out a little bit, make it translucent, transparent, whatever you want to, however you want to say it, and get it basically cooked. So, but we don't want to brown it because we just want our risotto to be that white, creamy flavor. Well, it's not going to be white because we have our butternut squash, but we don't want to change the color. We want it to be, it's going to have, saffron is going to give it that color too. So I have some fresh herbs too, the thyme and some chives. Chives is going to be more of a decorative element in the end. So what I'll do is I'll get my thyme off of the stem. While this is sweating, they're cooking. And so once again, like I've said in the past, we're gonna add our fresh herbs in the end of the cooking stage. So if it was dry, we would put it in the beginning to hydrate it. So we're using fresh, and obviously I always recommend fresh, but obviously the alternative is dry. And I got my chicken stock here too, so we're gonna add some of this garlic. I love garlic, so I add a healthy portion of it. And then our saffron, we're going to add that probably in the middle of the cooking stage because the saffron, you want it to let go of that color and flavor that it has in those threads. Let me lower this. So then we'll add our arborio rice. So you have different types of rice. You have the short grain, medium grain. This is what's called a fat grain. So sometimes arborio is even used inside of paellas. There's usually a specific type of rice, but it's called that's like a rice made for paellas. It's called rice bomba. But some people use arborio rice for paellas. What we want to do is cook this a little bit, the rice, to give it sort of a nuttiness, a nutty flavor to it. Toast it up a little bit. And then we will slowly start adding our chicken stock. So the chicken stock is already pre-made. I have it. You don't want to make it too strong. I've made it with, you can make it whichever you want. I've made it with the version of a paste type of version. So you don't want it too strong because obviously this is going to keep reducing, and this paste version it tends to be pretty salty. So what you want to do is add little by little chicken stock and keep moving. The whole thing of this dish is you want to keep stirring as much as you can the rice, because that's what's going to let out the starches of the dish. Usually when you have other rice, a short grain that's not arborio, if you stir it frequently, it would clump up too. It'll get a little clumpy and very starchy and mushy because you overworked it and you released a lot of that starch. But this one, you want it to be creamy, starchy. You want that in this dish. Probably in your everyday rice that you want in your home, that's probably not the case. Keep adding chicken stock, letting it reduce. Add a little more butter. And in the end, what we do is we thicken it up and we make it a little more creamy with our cream and our Parmesan. So I've mentioned it, I try to use a good quality Parm because you have those versions of Parmesan that is a powder. Those are not the best, but obviously if that's what you got, you're going to use what you got. But my thing is use a good quality shredded Parmesan, or if you can get a piece of Reggiano or whatever you may want to get a piece of a block and shred it yourself, that's probably even better. It's all based on what you have and what you're able to do or how you're able to plan this dish ahead of time. The better you plan it, the farther ahead you plan it, the better you can be prepared for it. So let me taste to see how it is. It's good. It's not salty. You can taste that stock. It's nice. It's reducing. In the end, if we need to adjust it and put some salt, pepper, whatever you may want, then we do that. But right now, we're just concentrating on cooking that grain, that rice, and making it as soft. So in that case, some people like it, what they call is al dente, is a little crisp when you bite it. But depending on the people you're serving, it's going to be depending on how you want to go about that, because not everyone likes it, but that's the way it's supposed to be in a restaurant version, and that's probably the correct way to do it in so many words. Correct way is, there is no correct way. The correct way is the way that you decide to make it. We're letting this come together and absorb that stock. Want to keep it on a medium low heat, not too strong, not too high. So this process will probably take you 15 minutes maybe of cooking the rice, stirring it, and adding your chicken stock little by little. So I'm gonna add a little more, drying up a little bit, add some more. We're gonna keep stirring until it keeps cooking and it gets to the cooking level we want it. So I added the last of my chicken stock, so I think this will be about maybe another 5 to 7 minute cook time in order for it to be to where I want it to be as the cooking stage. And then we start adding our other elements like our herbs and our peppers. Let's cook them off a little bit. The peppers is more of a garnish, and then we add our squash, and this stage we can add our saffron because we want it to give it that color and flavor. So I'm at that half point of cooking stage, so that's when I add my saffron. A little more butter, See where we are on the tenderness of the rice and the flavor also. Okay. Yeah, like I said, our rice is about halfway there. Beat another about 5 or 7 minutes until it's fully cooked to where I want it to be. And then we start just building and adding all the other ingredients, the final ingredients. So right now we're about 5 minutes in. I'm gonna taste the grain and see how it is in the flavor. So right now it's good. It's what I said, al dente. So it's has a little crispness to it. I'm gonna cook it for 2 more minutes, and then we're gonna start adding all the other ingredients to it. So I think we're gonna start adding our sweet peppers just to cook them off a little bit, and our squash. So I'm gonna add my final piece of butter. Keep stirring, letting it keep dry out a little bit. A little more garlic, touch more. Now is where I start adding some of my cream. A little bit of parm. About half of my parm for now. And now is when it's going to start getting creamy. So I added the rest of my parm, some more cream. Now we let it thicken up. So this is the last phase. My butter still hasn't completely dissolved yet. And so this is where it's gonna come together and thicken up right now. And we will serve. And so now we taste for our flavor profile what we want to taste for. And if we need a little salt and pepper, whatever we want to add, if you want a little spice to it, some cayenne or whatever you may want, then this is the time to add it, because we're on our final stage of letting it thicken up. So once it's thick, my recommendation is to serve right away. You never want to serve a risotto 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes after, because it keeps thickening up. It's like a pasta if you leave it in water, basically. It'll keep thickening up and it'll just not be what you want. You would have to keep reconstituting it and rehydrating it. So I think another 2 minutes is where I think it'll be perfect. Be perfectly cooked, fully cooked, and creamy as we want. And with our chunks of butternut squash, and then our peppers, sweet peppers, our saffron in there, everything is seen. So now, final stage, 2 minutes, is where we put our fresh herbs. So now is when I'm gonna put my thyme. So usually, fresh herb, I usually put it in when I shut off my stove. But this, I'm about to shut it off, so I'll just throw it in right now. Just a touch more thicker. Like I said, risotto is something that you want to keep stirring because you want that starch to release. You don't want it to stay inside of the grain. So risotto is something that is constantly stirred to release that starch so it can thicken up. You want that creaminess. So I'm lowering it to get to where I want to be. Okay, I'm going to give it my final taste to see where we are. Okay, I think we're there. Touch of salt and pepper. And what I like to do in a dish like this at the end, Just throw a touch of extra virgin olive oil to give it that flavor. That fattiness, it helps out. It gives it that little extra character to the dish. And I'll just heat up my chicken and we're ready to go. So these are little chicken fillets or chicken tenders. We're just gonna put this on top of the dish. So I have a little squash here that we can be a little creative and fill that up in. This is like for maybe an activity or something. You know, probably the protein to get mixed inside of the risotto. Probably wouldn't look nice to put it on top, but it'll get mixed in the risotto and then you just throw it. So that's shut off. And then we're gonna plate the dish also. Last step, throw a few peas, sweet peas. Give it a little bit of sweetness to the dish. And as you can see, it's thick, colorful, nice. That's part of the squash that gives it that nice yellow color, and the saffron. It's going to give it a nice color and flavor, vivid. Now, we serve. So maybe for a little dinner party in your home, you can do that. Put this basically like that for people that are coming. Or you can serve it on a dish like I'm gonna do here. With your protein on top. And your garnishing element would be those chives over here also. Just throw a little extra parm on top to, obviously, it's never too much parm. Obviously people love the parm. We clean the rim of our plates. This is our butternut squash and saffron risotto with some chicken tenderloin. We put some sweet peas in it. Let me know what you think. I'm Luis Cortez, owner of Savor and Gather Personal Chef Services. Until next time, thank you.